Good day everyone. My name is Mark Vincent Pisamper and I'm here to tackle about Rule 5 to Rule 8, the LEA 104. The first rule talk about inter-unit coordination. So what is inter-unit coordination? It is a one unit coordinating with another unit. There are three types of inter-unit coordination. The first one is personal coordination or by official representative. Team leaders of police units operating outside their territorial jurisdictions and national support units shall coordinate personally or through an official representative with the police regional, provincial, or city police office within whose jurisdiction the operation is to be conducted. The next one is coordination by filing coordination form. Prior to the launching of the operation, except in cases where the formal inter-unit coordination cannot be made due to the nature and/or urgency of the situation, such as, but not limited to, cross-jurisdictional pursuit operation. Coordination should be made formally using the prescribed coordination form. And the last one is coordination by practical or available means of communication. In cases where formal inter-unit coordination is not feasible, the police unit shall be concerned shall endeavor to notify the territorial police office through any practical or available means of communication anytime during the operation and if not possible, shall accomplish and furnish the territorial police office written incident report immediately after the termination of the operation. The next one is requirements of police operation. The first requirement is basic requirements. Police operations like arrest, search and seizures, checkpoints, roadblocks, demolition, and civil disturbance management shall be conducted as follows. The first one is with the marked police vehicle. Next one is led by a police commissioned officer and with personnel in prescribed police uniform or attire. The next requirements is the use of megaphones and similar instruments. During actual police intervention operations, the team leader shall use peaceful means including the use of megaphones or any other similar instruments to warn or influence the offenders or suspect to stop and peacefully give up. And the last requirements is warning shots prohibited. The police shall not use warning shots during police intervention operation. Use of force during police operations. Number 1. Use of excessive force prohibited. The excessive use of force during police operation is prohibited. However, in the lawful performance of duty, a police officer may use necessary force to accomplish his mandated task of enforcing the law and maintaining peace and order. The next one is issuance of verbal warning. The police officer must first issue a verbal warning before enforcing. Operations and planning could use force against an offender. As far as practicable, the verbal warning shall be in a dialect that is known to the offender or in the national language. Basically, the verbal warning shall consist of the following: the police officer identifying himself, his intention, and what he wants the offender to do. Take note. If the offender is a foreigner, the verbal warning shall be done in English language, followed by a demonstrative act of the police officer's intent. Number 3. Non-issuance of verbal warning when excusable. The failure to issue a verbal warning is excusable in cases where threat to life or property is already imminent, and there is no other option but to use force to subdue the offender. Number 4. Use of non-lethal weapon. When suspect is violent or threatening, and that less physical measures have been tried and deemed inappropriate and more extreme but non-deadly measure can be used as baton, truncheon, pepper spray, stun gun, and other non-lethal weapon to bring the suspect under control or effect an arrest. Application of necessary and reasonable force. During confrontation with an armed offender, only such necessary and reasonable force should be applied as would be sufficient to overcome the resistance put up by the offender. Number 6. Factors to consider in the reasonableness of the force employed. A police officer, however, is not required to afford offenders attacking him the opportunity for a fair or equal struggle. The reasonableness of the force employed will depend upon the number of aggressors, nature and characteristic of the weapon used, physical condition, size, and other circumstances to include the place, occasion of the assault. The last one is number 7. Responsibility of the police officer in charge of the operation. The police officer who is in charge of the operation shall, at all times, exercise control over all police personnel in the area of operation, and shall exhaust all possible means to apply necessary and reasonable force to protect lives and properties during an armed confrontation. The last rule is rule number 8, which is use of firearm during police operation. Number 1, use of firearm when justified. The use of firearm is justified if the offender poses imminent danger of causing death or injury to the police officer or other persons. The use of firearm is also justified under the doctrines of self-defense, defense of a relative, and defense of a stranger. Number 2 is firing at moving vehicles, prohibited but with exceptions. A moving vehicle shall not be fired upon except when its occupants pose imminent danger or causing death or injury to the police officer or any other person, and that the use of firearm does not create a danger to the public and outweigh the likely benefits of its non-use. Number 3, parameters to be considered in firing at moving vehicles. The following parameters should be considered. First one is the intent of the suspects to harm police officer or other persons. Next is the capability of the suspects to harm with certainty the police officer or other persons. And the last one is accessibility or the proximity of the suspects from the police officer and other person. Number 4, filing an incident report after the use of firearm. A police officer who fires his service firearm or weapon during a confrontation with an offender or offenders must be submit an incident report outlining the circumstances necessitating the use of his firearm. And the last one is number 5. Procedures after an armed confrontations. Immediately after an armed confrontation, the officer who is in charge of the operation shall secure the site of confrontation, take photographs, check whether the situation still poses imminent danger, evacuate the wounded to the nearest hospital, ensure that all persons who died on the spot are not moved from their original position, arrested suspects should be kept in isolation, conduct debriefing on all involved PNP operatives, submit after operation report, and the last one is ensure psychological stress counseling for all involved PNP operatives. That's all the topic involved in Rule 5 to Rule 8 of LEA 104. Again, I'm Mark Vincent Bisamperoy, BScrim 2B. Thank you for listening in my video presentation.